Thank you for coming right on time. Or maybe 5 minutes over. Close enough. Just making sure everything's set up. And we're good on Facebook, good on YouTube. And let's get into it. Starting recording in 3, 2, and 1. Good morning, evening, afternoon, magical beings. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to another loving, mystical, spiritual deep dive into the layers restricting your magical love in this world. I just got a chill, just got a beautiful chill and wave of energy move through me. We're going to get into some confident, expressive based topics today with a beautiful, loving woman. But before I get to her, a reminder for all the people joining either live on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, or if you're listening to this on the podcast, if you have questions today, if things bubble up during this chat, remember you can interact with us. Please share this out far and wide. If it hits your heart, if you think it can support a lover, a friend, or a family member in your life, and leave your feedback over on Apple and Spotify if it really stimulates something new inside of you. Speaking of stimulation, I have the loving Mel M. Rubin here today on the show to talk about all things confidence and connecting into your fullest expression. We're going to talk about what that exactly means, how we can connect into confidence and courage on our spiritual path, moving beyond guilt and shame and the stories we tell ourselves, tapping into your message, your magic, and your divine truth, and everything in between. Mel, welcome to the Cosmic Love Antenna.
Thank you for inviting me on. Hello, guys. I hope you're well. I'm sending you love.
How are you feeling, my friend, on your hopefully sunny day in Bali?
Yeah, I'm feeling very good. Thank you. I've literally just been in the sun, funnily enough. I sat in the sun, took in the codes, and then I was in my pool doing my movement and did some reading. So yeah, very good today. Thank you. How are you doing?
That's another thing we have in common. I spent most of my day today out there in the sun, just taking it all in. It's maybe I'll ask you this. It's one of my favorite ways not to just ground and come back into my body, but it's one of my favorite ways to release shit. And when I mean release shit, like get rid of the stories and the things that have attached onto me throughout the day. Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel much better when I've taken some time in the sun. And when I'm in the sun, I also ground at the same time. So I take in not only the rays and the healing vibes from our brother sun, but also the healing vibes from Mother Earth as well. And yeah, like meditation through it too. And the sweating allows us to sweat out the toxins. And we've that the sun is bad for us, and it's really not. It's very good for us.
It's I mean, we could record a whole session just on that in itself, but it's the OG stacked biohack, right? There's so many things happening, like you just beautifully said, when we're in the sun, right? From the grounding to the release of the toxins to everything. So it's, yeah, we might have to another chat just on the sun. Mel, I want to get into your beautiful voice today, your beautiful message in this world. And I think where I'd like to start, let's just go straight into it. When I throw you the question and the topic of stepping into your fullest expression, what does that mean to you? What does that activate inside of you?
Your fullest expression, like everything that is you, past, present, and future, and everything that is you internally from your heart space, your truth, your message, what's bubbling up inside you, what you want to share, and how you want to be, and how you want to live, and every way that you wish to express yourself. Like, we express ourselves different ways. So being able to do that unapologetically and in full confidence and strength and surety of, you know what, I'm not always going to be accepted or liked or validated by others. And that's absolutely fine, because I accept, I love, and I validate myself. So I don't need that from other people.
I feel so much of your passion behind those words. And I guess it brings up, what you're saying is it's a birthright, right? We should walk out of the womb like that, right? We do in most cases. But I guess, why is it not common, right? What you just described is not the common state of being of most humans walking their own journey. So maybe from your own personal experience or what you see in the world, why is that fullest expression submerged for most people?
Because it's shut down from a very young age. Typically, we are in our fullest expression through childhood, and depending on your childhood and your parents and the environment growing up is how much you was able to express yourself. And there's different ways that we can express ourselves, of course, but then we get put into school, and school straight away puts us in a box.
Yep.
And it tells us that we're not enough, that we need to be this, do this, have this, and all of that stuff. So it really starts from a young age, from the training and programming and conditioning that we go through. And because of the negativity that is put upon us when it comes to us expressing ourselves in whatever way, we then suppress certain aspects of ourselves and lose our confidence, because it's a natural human response. We wish to be loved, we wish to be liked. So then what we do as a survival response is we then put ourselves further in a box, wear more masks. But then what that does is that turns our back away from us, and it causes us to lose trust and dislike ourselves, and we're in this negative spiral.
We're so susceptible to it as well. I think of myself, I think back to my school years, and, I love my mother and father very much, and they only ever did what they knew was best at the time, right? And I would say that to most parents out there in the world when they make the choice to put their children in a specific school system. But we're so ready. We're so ready for the programming. And I think what it shows us, Mel, and this is what I want to get your thoughts on, it shows us what a new earth might actually look like. And what I mean by that is, because of our susceptibility, we take it all in. So where I automatically go is, what's the opposite, right? What's the opposite of this negative programming? What's the opposite of, what does it look like if a child was given all of the opportunity? If a child was given, you're not marked wrong or right based off this school criteria, versus you're abundant, you're worthy, you're magical, you're beautiful in all the ways. Do you ever contemplate this new earth reality?
Definitely. And I do it. I feel the emotion bubbling up inside me. I contemplate it and I think about it because of the future of my children. And the only way that we're going to be able to create it is if we first do it for ourselves. Many people are, we always have a choice. We can choose to do it or choose not to do it. And, I had a very beautiful upbringing, and my parents gave me everything that I needed. And I always was able to express myself outwardly in respects to my style, my hair, my clothes. And that I was never judged in that sense. But the way that I wasn't able to express myself was through my heart and my vulnerabilities and my feelings. And that was suppressed for so long. And that's typically the way for many. And it's not the fault of our parents, because they did the best that they could with the tools that they had. But as we all are, we are navigating through this physical reality through our lens and perception based on our trauma and our survival tactics, essentially. So what we get to do to create the new earth so we can give our children the very best future is not only learn how to express ourselves outwardly in a healthy way, but also understand and learn how to express ourselves from an inward point of view. And that starts with ourselves and understanding ourselves. And we truly love, accept, appreciate, validate ourselves with no judgment, with full love and compassion, then that's how we're going to be able to do it for our children. And it's not easy because of the programming, because of the shaming, because of the suppressed trauma that not only we have individually accumulated over our lifetime, but also collectively. Whatever happens on a collective basis comes within us because of the mass hive thinking. But then with that being said, there's also ancestral trauma that we get through. And it's a lifelong journey. It's a journey towards love, which is what you're all about, Harrison. And it's integral that we all come back to this and move out of the fear-based level of consciousness up the consciousness scale towards love with full intention and self-awareness.
Beautifully said, my friend. I want to pull out the ancestral healing that you just spoke about, and it goes both ways. And what I mean by that is, you could take in what Mel just said in regards to being impacted by the collective and being impacted by our ancestral line, our mother line, our father line. And it's true, it's there, it exists, it happens. But it goes the other way. And what I mean by that is, as Mel also alluded to, let's use the example of opening up our heart space and being that divinely sensitive being that we're born to be. When you do that as the individual, it ripples back out into the field. Right. So when Mel or Harrison shows up in our fullest, sensitive, vulnerable, emotional state, that moves down the ancestral line. Right. So let's use the example. You have kids, Mel, correct? Or you want kids?
I have fur babies, but I do want children.
So when you eventually do have children, and when I eventually do have children, I just want to give this example. When we show up in front of them in our self-love practice of loving devotion to ourselves, it doesn't just heal them as an example that they see in front of them. It heals their wounds inside of them, right? Because those wounds are our wounds, right? Do you agree with that, my friend?
Yeah, I just got true chills.
It shows our power, right? And I think this is where I want to go next to this, Mel, and ask you here. When I see you, when I feel your energy, I get a lot of not just courage, but confidence, right? Confidence and just this, this light warrior standing at the front of the crowd, stepping forward and shining the way. So with that, I'd love to get your opinion for people listening, for all the other beautiful, sensitive empaths and healers in my audience. In your opinion, what is the role of courage and confidence along this journey to self-expression, along this journey to coming back to our fullest self?
Doing what we know is right and good for us and the collective, even when we're scared.
Break that down.
So when I first started my journey, I started my journey 6 years ago, and I was very much stuck in the matrix. I was very unconfident. I was very toxic. I was very unhealthy. And when I started my journey, I remember going live for the first time because my mentor told me to. And I didn't practice. I'd never been on video before. I didn't go live in a safe space in a private Facebook group, which is what I support my people in doing now. So I very much, I just threw myself out there, and it was only a 3-minute live video. And I was walking to the station on my way to work because I got to get the tube to go into the city to work. And I started sharing my story. And like unconsciously, like I didn't know what I was doing and how healing it would be. But when I started my business, I didn't even realize that I was building a personal brand and sharing my story. I didn't realize how healing it would be. I just wanted my people to understand what I was doing and to share my journey.
Yeah.
So I was scared. But I was like, you know, the only way to really overcome fear
Step
and
into
you know,
it.
yeah, is to just do it. So I went live. It was only 3 minutes. It was like the worst angle. And, you know, I didn't know anything about camera angles and content creation back then.
Yeah.
So I went live and I started sharing my story, and I still hadn't fully healed from an emotionally abusive, toxic relationship that I just exited. And I started sharing part of that because it just felt right within me to do it, like following that intuitive guidance. And I felt sick. I felt like I was going to puke. I felt like I actually nearly did cry, like tears came to my eyes. But this was at a time when I was really self-conscious in sharing my tears and my vulnerabilities in that way. I was only building up that confidence then. I was shaking and I was sweating for about 20 minutes after. But I did it because I knew that I wanted to gain a presence on that was in me. I knew I wanted to. And even though I wasn't good, and even though it, you know, if I still had that video now, it would be so cringy.
But you did it.
I knew that the only way that I would get where I wanted to go is by doing it, even when I've been scared. And this happens at every level up and every stage we're in our level of growth. Ways like we're humans, so as soon as we get to a goal, it's like, okay, well, what next? And then we push our comfort zone. So I've just done it scared, and I've always led from a heart center. Yes, of course, I was in my business, and there was that motive there too, but I wasn't simply just building my business for me. I linked it to a wider vision in supporting family, my friends, my people, and all that stuff. So I led with a heart center, and I just did it scared because it's not about me. It's about everyone that I'm doing this for. So yeah,
it's beautiful. You know, your story, it exists in all of us, and I want to speak to it for a second. I also want to welcome Janine and Helen. I see there, and Simran. Welcome to the chat. Thanks for joining the live. I want to speak to what that beautiful example that you just gave of fear isn't just something that we need to move through with love, as you highlighted. In my experience, and your example shows this, it is often the step that we need to, the next step that we need to take, right? The thing that we're most fearful of, i.e. jumping onto live and sharing our story for the first time, the thing that we're most fearful of, that's the step, right? And I share this because I've asked this question. I've asked, what's my next step? What do I need to do? What's not, am I on my soul path? It's what is the next step that needs to be taken in general? And I've found, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, it's that step. It's the step that we're most fearful of, the thing that we're suppressing and ignoring and pretending isn't there, the highest degree. That's the thing that we need to do. Have you noticed that, my friend?
Yeah, definitely. Because that's where the growth is. Unless we're pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, and unless we're moving towards the fear and what scares us in our journey of growth, we're not going to grow. We're just going to stay stagnant and not move. And the whole point of life is growth, is movement.
Yeah. And, you know, our soul, I think I shared this on your show, our soul isn't here. We're not just here to find our unique expression. We're here to add that unique expression so it can expand, right? Harrison isn't here just to stand in his beautiful voice. I'm here to stand in my voice, reflect it against Mel, and see how much it offers me to change or shift or adapt, right? There's always evolution, I think, but we have to ask, are we expanding outwards or are we retracting and staying small, right? Mel, I want to shift here and ask you about, you know, connecting more into your specific medicine. Okay, so this journey of expressing yourself, I've noticed, what starts to happen is you don't just start to find direction, but you also start to work out, oh, there's something in this thing that is very, as I just alluded to, is very unique to me, that makes me magical, that makes me stand out. So for example, my voice has been a big part of my medicine that I've started to lean into more. So I'm wondering, one, what's your medicine, Mel? And two, how does one start to connect to that in this expression journey?
So my medicine is, I mean, I've got a few bits of medicine within me, if I'm honest with you.
So much medicine.
So literally, like my soul came here for big things, and I was literally just speaking to a friend of mine in respects to my astrological chart. I'm very much into numerology and human design and astrology, and I'm a 5/1 reflector in the human design. So with that allows me to become a chameleon, and I reflect everything that you get to see within you, whether that be good or bad. So I'm a very powerful catalyst for people's growth. So I am able to illuminate your power, but I'm also able to illuminate your shit, so you can move through your shit and grow. And with that being said, I have a lot of Capricorn in my chart in house 2, and also my North Node is in Capricorn house 2. So that essentially means that I'm very good at bringing the big ideas. I've also got a lot of Aquarius house 3. So I'm very good at bringing these big ideas, humanitarian ideas, back down to the earthly realm, to make it simple to create change and create this new earth paradigm way of thinking and looking at things. Because things are really simple, but we just make it hard because we're human. So I'm able to essentially, I am your spiritual catalyst into change. Yeah. I will show you what you need to move forward. And if you're ready, then it will propel you. But if you're not, then you're just going to go into the depths of your ego, and that's your journey, no judgment. But yeah, and I'm also, my medicine with that as well is like, because of my reflectorism, and because of my story specifically and where I've come from, because I came from my depths of hell, and I came from the matrix, and I came from very young, and I came from toxicity and unhealthiness. So I understand. I came from my rock bottom financially, every which way, right? So that allows me to be able to connect to my people and hold space and empathize. So there's like an array of magic.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
What can you recommend? So I'm going to throw some modalities at you. I'm wondering which ones you've probably connected to. Which ones have been most beneficial to you in terms of connecting into those characteristics? So you mentioned human design. So you've obviously played with human design. Have you worked with gene keys before? Do you know what gene keys are?
Yeah, I've looked into it, but it didn't really stick for me.
Yeah. And then you've done some numerology and astrological stuff, correct?
Yeah, numerology, astrology, and human designs are the ones that I personally vibe with.
Yeah. So I'd for people tuning in, I think that's a really good place to start. As Mel said, you need to tune into what's good for you though. So like follow the things, but follow the hits that light you up the most. Because I've found my own modalities, and your soul will be directing you to these places. So you'll know which ones will light you up the most. Mel, I'm interested, you spoke about the matrix, and you have a background in marketing, correct? When you were in the matrix, what were you doing?
Oh, in the matrix, I was in corporate banking.
Corporate banking. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the depths of finance.
Yeah. And studying to be an accountant as well. It's fun. I wanted to move to Australia once upon a time, so that's why I decided to study accountancy, so I could get citizenship. But then my online business came along, and I was just like, no thanks, I'll go this way.
And you're close. You're almost in Australia. You're in Bali now, so you're like just close. I want to speak about this. I want to speak about money here within this path to our fullest expression, because I've noticed on this awakening journey, once we come out of the matrix, the part of our life that holds the chains, the old limiting beliefs of the matrix the most is our relationship to money, is our relationship to abundance and finances. I'll give one example. I've noticed in my journey, old stories of, if you become spiritually awakened, then that means you need to not worry too much about money, that, asking to be paid certain fees or tuning into abundance, that's not truly spiritual, right? And I see your face and I agree with it. But I'm wondering, one, if you can speak to this, if you can speak to what's your perspective on this spiritually more aligned view of abundance and money, and how can we start to tap into that, practically?
Okay, so if we have a look at that silly notion that you just mentioned, okay, so spiritually aware conscious people are not supposed to have money, but then unconscious greedy people who don't care about the planet should have money to carry on destroying the planet. No, I don't agree with that at all. People that are spiritually aware and conscious, we are the ones that are going to change the world, because we're conscious in the way that we not only spend our money, which is the only vote that we've got on this planet. Like whatever whatever country you're a part of, the governments are controlled all by one entity. So that's a false illusion that we have choice in our paper vote. The only choice that we have is with our money. So when we become more spiritually aware and when we become conscious and when we have a truckload of money, then we're more aware of where we're spending our money. And typically we spend it on healers and guides and teachers and our own personal growth. Yeah. And when we invest in land, we're not necessarily investing in land to build big, high skyscrapers and stuff. We're investing in land so we can create permaculture and a better environment. Yeah. And we're healing the planet. So yeah, I mean, I'm spiritual as F, and I'm moving towards being wealthy as F. And I have no issue saying that, because money in the hands of good people is what's going to change the world. And if you have money blocks around that, then I encourage you hugely to work through that, because you're a good person, and being a good person, it requires you to have money. It's your responsibility to have money, because you're going to change the world with it.
I love your passion behind this. I could just feel you blasting me with this passion. And it's true. I could not agree with you more. And I'll explain it from this angle, right? We think, let's use the chakra system, right? The chakra system, the sacral center, it is our creation center, right? What is a manifestation of creation? It is money. It is finances. Our creation center is born in us. We are born to be creative, i.e., we are born to create money. We are born to create income. We are born to expand that energy. But the other side to this, and this is what I want to get your opinion on, my friend, and we talked about this on your show, our deepest state of spiritual essence is unbounded, right? It has no limits. It has no restriction. It is beyond time and space. So if you connect that to money and finances, why would that along your spiritual journey be the one thing that is restricted, that is confined, that is, oh no, you don't need to have abundant wealth because you're spiritual, right? It's your essence. Your natural essence is unboundedness. Does that resonate?
Yeah, it resonates. And I get that. That's in the spiritual realm, but we're living in a 3D matter material realm. So we must bring both together.
Yes. So let's talk about that, Mel. So how do we do that? Okay. Because I fall into this trap, right? I can esoterically understand it. So for those people like me that understand it from that angle, where do we start in the 3D world to make that a reality?
Well, we start with ourselves first and foremost. So we come back to source within ourselves. And what is source? Source is true health. So we ensure that we are fueling our mind, body, and soul with everything that it needs to thrive. So we become energetically aligned and a vibrational match to the money and the wealth it is that we want, because our external reality is simply a reflection of our internal reality. So it's coming back to source and true health. So our vessel is clear, for one. So we are able to connect to our heart and our spirit and our soul in a way and lead from the heart. So we're not leading and moving forward via our ego to attain the wealth it is that we want. And once we do that, and once we work through our money blocks, which I want to address with you actually in respects to what you said earlier.
Let's do it.
When it comes to charging for like your work. And we really get to look at it in the sense of, okay, well, as healers, mentors, teachers, guides, coaches, we're changing people's lives. You can't put a price on that, right? And the only and I mean, look at university and college and how much is charged for that. And then once people get out of it, they're unable to get a job. And when they do get a job, it takes them like however many years to pay back. It's not truly life-changing, not truly beneficial. Whereas the work that we give is truly life-changing, is truly beneficial. So what we really get to do is we get to understand what we're comfortable in charging and what feels right and good for us, because we've all got different levels, we've all got different price points, and we get to work that out within us by simply feeling into our body and what feels right and good when we go through the different levels. And once it starts feeling a bit icky, then it's like, oh no, that's a bit too much for me. And then we stay on the level that feels good. And, you know, at the end of the day, yes, our spirit is limitless. And in that realm, it's limitless. But then when we bring it down to
it's a 3D.
This 3D physical realm, the illusion of time has a limit, and our energy in this physical realm also has a limit. And then when we have a look at the knowledge that we have and the experience that we have, and then how many years and hours and like the energy and effort that is taken for us to obtain that, what price are you going to put on that? Oh yeah, okay, it might take 20 minutes for a session that you charge like what, £300, £400, £500 for, but how many years have you accumulated that? And then what kind of a difference is that going to make on that person's life energetically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially? So we really get to look at it in all aspects, so we understand our worth. And then the more we tap into our spirit and growth, then we tap into past life wisdom and bringing all that in. So it's like we're doing the work. We just have to get compensated for it. It's not easy work to get to where we're at. So give me my worth.
And I love it. This isn't just applicable to, you know, coaches listening or healers, right? This is, if you're stepping into your fullest expression, this is you, full stop. You need to understand this beautiful connection, as you're describing, Mel, between this unbounded state and then what it transcribes into in the 3D world. And you remind me, there's two things I want to hit on. Firstly, you remind me of the worth of, that 20 minutes you spent with someone. I think it was Picasso, and I'm going to paraphrase the story, but there's a story of Picasso in a bar, and he has one of his paintings. He did a painting on a napkin for someone, and he asked, I think you know the story, the person asked, how much do you charge for that napkin painting? And I think he said some ridiculous, well, not ridiculous, but some really high number, $1 million number. He said, why is that so much? You just did it now. It's like, no, that took me my whole life to create. And it's true. It's what you're saying, right? It's when we show up in any situation, we're not showing up as the 20-minute time frame. We're showing up in all that we are, right? Everything that Mel has done, everything that Harrison has done. And if you want to get super spiritual, everything my whole ancestral line has done. So, we could keep going with this, but open your heart to it. But I want to go back though, Mel, to what you said about clearing the vessel.
Before you go,
yeah, go.
thing that I wish to add is
Yeah.
also, I got this from one of my mentors, and it rings so true. The thing that you find easiest, that's what you should be charging the most for. And the reason is because, like, and if you're like, I find this so easy, I can get this done so quickly, this is why you should be charging for it, because other people are like, oh my God, I can't do that, it's too hard. And then you're making their life easier because of your magic
Connection.
within you. Yeah, it's just like, okay, well, yeah, I can do this. But it was something that would take me like half an hour, may take you 5 hours. So yes, you may be charging a certain amount, but you're saving them 5 hours worth of work that you could do in half an hour.
Yeah.
So that's also something to think about as well. And typically it's our greatest strengths and the things that come easiest for us that we get to move towards and charge for.
I love it. I love it. All the reframes today, my friend. I'm feeling your coach coming through. Let's go back to the clearing the vessel, because this is so important for people to hear. And I want to speak about this from a spiritual into a 3D lens. I speak about on this show a lot, Mel, being a channel, right? Being a channel for divine frequency, consciousness, channeling your higher self or guides or whatever you want to do. And all of that is beautiful. But we have to understand, as a divine channel that we all are, we cannot channel divine consciousness through us if our 3D body is holding on to, and the only way to say this is shit. And when I say shit, I mean like physical toxic shit, like the food that we're eating, the things that we're drinking, but also the mental shit, the emotional shit, i.e., limiting beliefs around our worth, right? Limiting beliefs around our voice, suppressed emotions of guilt and shame. If we are not doing the work to, as you said, to clear the vessel and remove the physical, emotional, and mental components that block the channel, we can be sitting in meditation all day, connecting to the highest sources, but it won't materialize in the 3D because of that shit. Do you agree with this, Mel?
I do agree, yeah, because the shit makes us dense, right? And when we're, and I don't mean dense as in stupid, I mean like dense.
Heavy.
Yeah, it makes us heavy. And like when our energetic and physical body is heavy, then we're vibrating low. So yes, we could get into these states in a meditative state, but then once we come back down to consciousness, we've still got this density that we haven't necessarily worked through. So it's really important that we find ways and means in which we work through it. And there's different magical ways that people have come out with sharing, but really and truly, it's all very simple. It's just learn how to master your mind, move your body, get out into nature, play, connect with people. Don't be such a hermit. I'm saying that part to myself because I'm a bit of a hermit, but connect, whether it be to people, to animals, getting out in nature. It's very simple. Just go back to what you did in childhood when you were really happy playing about in the field, and you're good.
Yeah. True. Yeah,
we make it complicated. It's really not complicated.
we do like you could say that from a spiritual lens too. Like the spiritual path, if it feels hard, that's not the spiritual path, right? It's our ego making it hard. But let's shift here and flow from this idea of moving through some of this density towards our fullest expression. I've noticed another way to alchemize it, other than all that simplistic examples that you just gave. Another way is co-creating with people, co-creating with other souls that are on your journey. So for example, what we're doing right now, right? We're co-creating this episode, this chat together. And we're not just doing it. Well, I'll just speak for myself. I'm not just doing this to create content for the audience. I'm also noticing in this conversation my own stuff that's being alchemized and moving through me through the energy that we're creating together. So I'm wondering if you can speak to this, Mel, if you've noticed, this co-creation example being a way that we can step towards our fullest expression?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because through co-creation, it creates connection for one, and it also allows us to build more of a community too, which is bringing us back to our roots. And although it's online, you know, what we get to do to really move towards the new earth and a new way of being is really come back to our roots, which is the spirit, which is the land, which is community and with each other. And by learning from each other, because although we are all a fractal of God consciousness, we're individuated, so we're expressing God consciousness in our own unique way. And although, yes, we are mirrors to each other, that's the beauty. It's like we're mirrors that enable us to see what we get to see, to alchemize and like move through the energy that gets to grow with that. And there's just something so special in the collaboration and co-creation and building community, because that allows us to feel safe and it allows us to step into our vulnerability as well as our full expression, because through the co-creation and community sense, it's like, okay, well, I'm accepted no matter who I am, how I am, where I'm from, and it's creating that safe space for us to come back to express ourselves.
Beautifully said. I want to pull out safety here, because not all co-creations are safe. And I think this is, so everything, I could not agree more with what you just said, but I want to maybe just warn the beautiful sensitive empaths and healers out there that, you know, I know tune into the show. We can look for that sense of safety, security as an indicator for that co-creation we're meant to be doing, right? Because, and maybe you can share your experience with this, Mel, but I've definitely, you know, gone out into the world with an open heart, with this intention of connecting into my fullest, brightest expression. But I've found, whether it's containers, whether it's individuals or groups, that weren't safe, right? That when you did express yourself, you know, it wasn't held, or you weren't heard, or you weren't felt, and this is no judgment on those containers, right? We only show up from our own state of consciousness. But I'm wondering if you could speak to, how do we overcome that? How do we, you know, is it just a matter of feeling if we feel safe, or is there more to this?
Yeah, it's feeling into our intuition as to what is right and good for us. And that was the biggest lesson on my journey. Because when I first started in the online world with my first mentor, I saw the vision of the business, and that I let my ego vision get there. Oh, I can do this. This is great. But my gut was like, no, don't go with him. You can't trust him. So that was my intuition screaming at me. And that was a lesson that I got to learn, which I'm very grateful for, and no judgment for it, and no bad blood or anything, because that was a lesson that I got to learn. So yeah, I would always say, feel into the energy of the person or the space that you're going into. And if in your body you don't feel good and there's a gut instinct screaming at you, no, listen to it and don't join, don't share, or exit as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah. And I would add to that, and you highlighted this, but I want to make sure people heard it. If you did make a choice, like let's say you did lean in with the ego rather than your intuitive sense that's saying go the opposite way, really release all judgment on that choice, right? Because there's this probably goes back to the schooling system we grew up in. We talked about this at the start. There is really no way we could get it wrong, right? Even if we do spend our whole lives choosing only from our ego, right? And which leads to a whole lot of suffering. If we zoom all the way out, there's no man on a cloud. There's nothing outside of us that at the end of that story is going to mark us wrong or right? We will come back in another life and we'll get the opportunity to do it all again with only love. So I think, you know, removing that judgment and tuning into, yes, there is an optimal path, but there is no, you're not going to hell. You're not you're not evil for making that wrong choice. Do you agree with this, my friend?
Definitely. And the only way that you're ever going to go to hell is if you create it in your internal reality through the judgment and the shame and the guilt of making the wrong choice. And we're human. So we're not ever going to be perfect. And you know what? That decision to go with that mentor cost me like £10,000 and 2.5 years of my life. And I could have easily been like whatever. But instead, I chose to look at it with, okay, well, what lessons did I learn from this, and what can I be grateful for in respects to this situation? And no matter what negative situation we end up finding ourselves in, and no matter what perceivably wrong choices we make, it's always right and it's always perfect for our growth and ascension. And everything is always how it's meant to be. Everything is perfect how it's meant to be. So when we look at it in that way, and this is a choice, we always get to look at it that way, right? We get to look at it in a way that is detrimental to us, or we get to look at it in a way that's good for us. And I know I always want to be on the good side. So there's always a lesson, and there's always something to be grateful for, no matter how small that gratitude part of it was.
Yeah. And, you know, you speak about gratitude. The gratitude in itself is how we start to see what the lesson is, right? If we get out of, I just put myself in your shoes because I've been there as well, right? Of, you know, spending money on a certain thing that we hold judgment and shame and guilt around. That's not going to move until we love it, right? Until we add gratitude, until we add appreciation. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do in the world, right? It's so easy to be grateful for the beautiful things in our life, but what is more valuable and more powerful is being grateful for the shit, right? Being grateful for the uncomfortable thing. But in that gratitude, we are able to step forward, right?
And there's a saying, I think maybe it's in the Bible or something, but people would know it. Those who have will have an abundance, and those who do not have will not get more, or will lose it all, something like that. And it's there's a hidden word in there. And if you've read The Magic by Rhonda Byrne, you'll know what I mean. But essentially, the hidden word is those who have gratitude will have an abundance, and those who do not have gratitude will not have more or lose it all. And this comes back to energy flows where focus goes. So if we're focusing on the negativity and the lack and the problems, we're powerful, and we create our reality through our mind and our thinking and our vibrational feeling. So if we're focusing and if we're feeling bad and we're focusing on this shit, we're just going to attract more shit. Like, we're continuously creating our reality. So the question that you get to ask yourself is, what reality do I want to create? What reality do I currently have? How do I get to change this? And the way you can easily change it is through gratitude. And I'm really grateful that the first 2 books that I read on my journey were The Magic by Rhonda Byrne and A Happy Pocket Full of Money by David Cameron Gacaldi. And A Happy Pocket Full of Money is not just about money, it's about a wealth-based consciousness, an abundance consciousness, and that spans further than money. It spans to the point of, wow, look at nature. That's so beautiful. I'm so grateful for nature. I'm so grateful for my fingers, because with these fingers, I can pick up my phone and send a text and call my mum. Like, when was the last time you were grateful for your legs? When was the last time you were grateful for your arms? You know, we take so much for granted, and then we wonder why we haven't got what we desire. It's because you're not focusing on that.
I love this. You're hitting on not just gratitude here. You're hitting on the emotion and the feeling of awe, right? This is such a underappreciated state of frequency, right? We've spoken a lot today about raising our vibration from the heavy density to the higher, right? And we all know about love and we all know about gratitude, but we often forget about awe, right? And awe is what you just described. It's being in awe with life itself, right? Being in awe with the God that is you, but outside of you, right? And, if you're feeling guilty and shameful and judgmental, that in itself rises us up, right? It raises that frequency. So, I love it. Mel.
Like literally, we're on a rock in the middle of space, this dot, and we've got so much around us. How can we not be in awe with this life? Like, wow, I have running water. I have a sofa. I have a bed. Like, so many people in this world don't even have that, right? I have food in my. This is amazing. I don't even need to grow my own food if I don't want to. I can just go to the shop and it's there. And it's just like, wow, like our life is so easy, but we take it all for granted because it's just there. But once we flip it and think about, okay, well, the stuff that I get from the shop, it's easy and all of that stuff, but it's taken farmers, transport, sometimes air, all of that stuff. Like, there's so much to be grateful for. There's literally so much.
And you're just talking about like the outside things. How about we just look internally for a second and you just ask this question, right? What did it take to create you? As the individual that is listening to these words right now, what did it take to create you? Just think about the percentage of your likelihood of being alive, right? The exact date that your parents, connected and consummated and created you based off astrological stars. You can keep going. And the point here that I guess we're trying to make is, use this, right? Use this next time that you feel that heaviness, that density. And often this is all it takes, right? To flip that switch. Mel, I could talk about this all day with you, and I think we probably will in multiple episodes. I have one more question I want to ask you, but before I get to that, I would love to give you the opportunity to share a bit more of your magic with my listeners and my audience. What do you have going on in the world? If people want more Mel magic, what can they do? Where can they go? What options do you have?
Okay, perfect. So social media wise, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram. You're going to find like on the stories, I get quite fun and like back end kind of access, should we say. So Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, my name, Mel M. Rubin. And in respects to how I'm able to support you, so I'm one of the New Earth leaders here to support my people in coming back to source and true health and raising their level of consciousness, as well as supporting them in coming back to their power and breaking free. So I support them by linking them to a freedom and wealth encompassing business model that's done for you. All of the platforms, training systems included. All you get to do is really come back to your power, build your personal brand, and implement the marketing and advertising techniques that are taught. So there's an option there for you. If you're not interested in breaking free and building wealth and all of that good stuff, and you're happy in your job and what you're doing, I have options in respects to high level teachings to support you in your soul journey. So I've created Embrace, which will essentially allow you to embrace every aspect of you, past, present, and future, let go of any guilt and shame and negativity around your story, and really land into your power and everything it is that you desire out of life to support you in moving towards it. And I've also created a revolutionary and transformative platform. Currently, there's over 60 videos spanning mind, body, spirit, soul, inner power, self-management, relationships, rituals, and I'm continuously adding to this as I deepen into my journey. And this is a rolling membership. I also have a personal growth community. So those are your options. I do also do one-on-one coaching too. And you have options in respects to messenger only or calls and messenger. I'll give Harrison my link that you can put in the show notes. Yep. Free. So my link tree has all of my links on there. My socials are all managed by myself, so you can message me if you've got any questions. But essentially, like, I just want the best for you. I want you to live your life in your fullest expression and in its fullest expression, and I'll guide you and support you in whatever way you require to make it happen.
Mm.
Me and Harrison, thank
I
you so
love.
much. I
You're
really
so
appreciate it.
welcome. You're so welcome, Mel. And I'll just add to your beautiful array of offers for people that have been watching either live or you're listening to the podcast. You know if Mel is connected to you by now, right? It's She has all these beautiful ways to help you go deeper, but your soul, your intuition is speaking, right? So at the end of the day, it's up to you to make a choice, right? So make the choice that feels best to you. Mel, my last question before I let you go and before the sun catches me in my face here today, is this is the Cosmic Love Antenna. And one of my reasons for making this show and the naming of the show was my journey around higher power and God, and really coming to the understanding that for me, my higher power has always been love. Love is a higher consciousness state. So I'm wondering, in your world, Mel, how do you personally define that love word?
Full acceptance and understanding and space holding for everything it is that you are individually, and also everything it is that the other person or being is, with no judgment.
Simple and effective. Mel, thank you for your time today. Thank you for your beautiful smile and your confident energy. For everyone that's tuned in live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, thank you for paying attention, for connecting in and opening your hearts. If you listened on the podcast, please share this out far and wide if you think it can help and support someone you know. But until next time, sending love, sending light, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, everyone.